So Fordham had a lot of appealing components when I was looking for a school to apply to. I really wanted a doctoral program where I would get a lot of hands-on experience and be with a faculty that really valued the students that were in the program. So when I looked at Fordham and I knew that there was such a strong social justice focus and multiculturalism, and I knew that's kind of where I wanted to take my research in that direction, I felt like Fordham would be a great place for me.
So I had applied and looked at many schools, obviously, as you do when you're going through the graduate school process. But what drew me to Fordham was the idea that while it did have a balance between clinical and research work, I felt that there was more of an emphasis on making you a very well-rounded clinician.
So yeah, not the typical student maybe, and I felt like here at Fordham there was an openness and an appreciation for that. It was also, I think, already in the interview phase where I felt like I could have a more kind of sophisticated conversation around therapy and actually around research too. And that was something I was really looking for. Not just this is our model, this is how we do things, but actually an engagement in conversation around what are we doing and what is helpful.
When it was decided between clinical and counseling, I was really drawn to counseling for the more holistic approach. Not just thinking about someone by their diagnoses, but looking at their strengths and their whole person.
I think there were two things that drew me to Fordham. I think the first was the community among the students and the faculty. I think that the people here are really supportive of each other, and that's been something that's stood true since starting the program as well. I think the other thing was Fordham's focus on social justice and on multiculturalism. I'm from New York City, and so multiculturalism has always been very important to me. It's what I grew up with, and I think that incorporating that into my practice as a psychologist has helped me really best serve my clients, and I've been really glad for Fordham's focus on that.
There's a lot of room for creativity in terms of your research interests, and a place that really encourages sort of using yourself and exploring your own motives and the way that you work, and rather than being a place that has a sort of prescribed path for everyone.
Why the Jesuit school? Because the commitment to the people is a great commitment of social justice, and I think that the Jesuits around the world, they're everywhere, and the vision and the spirit of the education is always to try to make the world a better place to live, and I really connect with that idea.
I think that the Jesuit mission has actually really directly influenced me being in this program at all. I think that the idea of being a woman for and with others is something that growing up was really stressed in my family and in my community, and then in college when I was really developing my own identity was really highly stressed. And so the idea of going into a field where I would be doing direct work with people seemed very natural. It seemed like what I was being sort of called to do, to give back. I've had a lot of things that I'm very grateful for in my life, and if I can work with other people and even provide a little bit of that to someone else, I think that's really important.
Is the gift of diversity that I have come to discover in this school, and that's where I'm getting a lot of my education also. It's just being in the classroom and just seeing people who are totally different than who I am.
I moved here to work for AmeriCorps with an education nonprofit in underserved schools in Hunts Point, which is up in the Bronx. And so I think at that point I developed, a strong interest in understanding complex trauma, early life trauma, and how kind of that compounding effect impacts a child's ability to function in all aspects of life. And I feel like when I looked at Fordham and, learned about the value system that governs the program, it felt fitting to both the value system that I was working in within AmeriCorps. It felt fitting to the work I wanted to do, and I just wanted to be in a place that was going to recognize kind of the larger psychosocial issues that prevail kind of our system.